Oh, here I am. Wait, I'm here. Here we go. Hey, you're watching this back later. You caught me. I was just out. I'm actually doing the thing I always admonish Aidsy for doing. That is eating on camera. Oh, it's dessert. I'll show you. You see? It's a cinnamon scroll Young's Angry made, and they're really yummy. And I just warmed it up a bit. And I'm having it with ice cream because it's very good. Oh my God, that's good. Young was Angry is one of those people who, in the whole isolation world, has been baking and cooking a lot, which has been, huge bonus from me. Because I used to always make the dinners, and she's been making, I don't know, half of them, which is good. Plus, she's been baking bread and sourdough and cinnamon scrolls, all of which are very good things. So, yeah, kind of spoiled. I'm not minding the isolation life at all. Yeah, these are particularly good. Made fresh this afternoon. I hope this is not too gross if anyone's watching it and I'm eating. Doing my best to keep my mouth shut. I'm chewing. Also, yeah, don't be too jealous. We all get treats sometimes. I've just got a treat now. Reason I'm eating on camera is because my timing got all thrown out of whack this evening. I was editing a video a bit earlier and got lost in that for half an hour or so. And so then I was just, half an hour behind in my planning, and I only just finished dinner. Which I'd normally have about an hour ago. And so now I'm rushing to have some dessert. So I hope you will forgive me for my gauche behavior. Oh, suddenly a whole bunch of comments appeared all at once. Who's here? Big Pat, hey there, mate. Stella, Musical Aviator, Lion Spider, Robot Man Greg, Peter. Hello. Just That's the last of the ice cream. Just before coming on, bashed my elbow on a door frame. Fucking hurt. I did see that, Lion Spider. Somehow a Republican won a congressional seat in California, which had always been Democrat. Maybe that'll wake the Democrats the fuck up. I don't know. Maybe it's a sign the world's fucked. I say, Musical Aviator, do we have any idea what the 3-step plan for COVID restrictions being relaxed is? Well, we have an idea. The idea is it all depends on how many active cases and new cases are identified. And New South Wales and Victoria still have a problem with new cases. Other states, not so much keeping the numbers under control. So, I think you'll see significant relaxing of restrictions in Western Australia, Northern Territory, Queensland, South Australia. Not necessarily Tasmania. I think they still have an issue too. Victoria and New South Wales. As I said, they do it in 3-week stints because it takes about if an action creates new cases, it takes like 2-3 weeks to see the new cases. It's like if you did something, did that make cases go up or down or stay the same? And it takes 2-3 weeks to really see that. So that's why easing of restrictions that various places have announced this week, that'll be it for 3 weeks. And then they'll revise again. And it's like, if the relaxation hasn't caused a spike in cases, then more relaxation. If it does cause a spike in cases, or if it doesn't cause a reduction in cases, then maybe no more restrictions, maybe no more relaxations. But we just don't fucking know. There is so much we don't know. I think we can reasonably start to feel fairly confident in Australia and New Zealand with carefully staged relaxation of restrictions. We're going to be okay. It's like, but this is going to be over months. It's because traditionally winter is the highest risk period for influenza. So we've got to be aware of that as well. But I think you could have a reasonable amount of confidence that if we do staged lifting of restrictions, we'll be okay. What's AZ saying? Oh, he's coming up. Okay, good. I just have to check in case it's like, oh no, none of my technology's working. So I think Australia and New Zealand can be reasonably confident. Like I said, there's a huge amount of variables. There's so much we don't know. Then there's the places that we can be pretty certain are fucked, like the US and Russia and Brazil and, probably India and probably another couple of places we don't even realize how bad they are. Craig, you're having problems with the live things stuttering. That does happen thanks to our glorious NBN. Oh, maybe it's Zuckerberg's fault. It's Zuckerberg's birthday. I was looking up things to theme tonight's live stream on. One of the things I saw was Zuckerberg's birthday. Big Pat, you had some good news. I'm mighty pleased you had some good news, my friend. I get the feeling you want to tell me about it, so you should do that. Yes, so I was almost going to theme it on Zuckerberg's birthday, but then I saw at least some people in the US declare this date, the 14th of May, to be National Decency Day, which, given the Trump administration and his supporters, I just found hilarious. Like, basic decency is more than a tad incompatible with the Trump regime, and they seem to be very proud of the fact that they have abandoned any sort of decency. Peter, why is it only saying 2 watching? Maybe there's only 2 people watching on Facebook, because I'm on YouTube as well. My thing says there's a few more people, and of course there are more people commenting, so yes, if you're on Facebook, maybe it's just saying there's only 2 people watching on Facebook. I don't know. It's a mystery. Maybe we'll never know. So, yes. So I decided to make fun of the fact that someone in America had said today's National Decency Day, and there's no decency with Trump. So I decided to say Trump has officially cancelled National Decency Day because I'm easily amused, and it might piss off a Trump supporter, which is always funny. The good news, Pat, your best friend in wrestling, Becky Lynch, is pregnant. Nice. Gonna have a little wrestling baby. Wrestle with the doctors. That's a spot of good news. We like that. Strictly Sega, good evening to you. And Aussie Gun Bunny, hello as well. So, yes, I think I'm drinking. This is again how out of whack my evening is. I'm drinking Pepsi because I like to have a Pepsi with my dinner. And I only just finished dinner before I came on. So this is still my have a Pepsi with dinner drink. I'd been having like my juice and lemonade, so I'm not drinking caffeine that close to bedtime. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. And we'll just take it as it comes. So, I did the I finished the milk clarification of that cocktail last night. I'll show you. I'm probably not going to drink it tonight because it's really high alcohol content and I've got to work tomorrow, so I don't want to drink. Or it's the equivalent of, what did I put in it? 5 overproof drinks. So it's, oh God, it's possibly like 8 standard drinks, 8 middies of beer. Yeah. And the volume's not that high. So, yeah, I don't feel like it's something I should drink on a school night, really. Maybe tomorrow. I was going to make a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster tomorrow. But I'll show you the thing. Put it in its own little decanter. Don't know if anyone remembers when I made this last night. It was really gross color. It was a sort of dirty blue-gray color. Looked like sort of toxic runoff. And I actually did the clarification process twice. And now it's this really light yellow color. Looking on the screen, it looks really orange or dark yellow. In real life, it's a very, very pale yellow. Don't always get true colors on the thing, but yeah, no, it was an opaque blue-gray toxic waste color. And it's come out very clear. Like in real life, it's a very pale yellow. On the monitor, it's coming up a golden color urine sample. Anyway. Strictly Sega, having to clean for rental and suspension. Yeah, that sucks. Not as bad as cleaning to move out, but yeah, this sucks. So I do have another sort of less intense cocktail in the fridge I might drink later. Hey, Lee, how's it going? I uploaded a video to my cocktail channel. You should all go and watch. You should be subscribed to my cocktail channel if you're not. The Angry Cocktails. Because what's the 14th today? The 16th, 1605, is World Chartreuse Day, as I explained in the video. Chartreuse, the beverage, traces its history to 1605 when the recipe was supposedly invented, although it wasn't sort of mixed and distributed as, you know, an elixir until the 1700s. But so, yeah, 1605, they have on the bottles and it's sort of central to their story. And so, yeah, I thought it was quite clever marketing on their part to say that 1605, 16th of May, is Chartreuse Day. So I actually made this video on the weekend and I just uploaded it. It's 3 for the price of 1, 3 cocktails in the one video, showing very different ways to use chartreuse. One of them was the one I drank last night, the Green Point, which was like it was like a Manhattan with not absinthe, with chartreuse added to it, and it was very yummy. One I still have in the fridge is a tropical one, also very yummy. Possibly even, well, very easy to drink anyway. It doesn't taste like booze, even though it really is. I'm pretty well today, Big Pat. I'm not pregnant. I just look like I am. But congratulations to your friend, assuming it's good news. So I hope you're well. I hope everyone's doing well. In my endless quest, like a couple times today, looking at the news and like just going like to like the Google News headlines and going like, is there any stories here that aren't about coronavirus? Because that's all anyone's thinking about, including me. And even stories that don't initially seem to be about coronavirus turn out to be. So, yes, like it has to be a bad news story to get in there. Like, dude arrested for murder in Sydney. He's murdered a woman in Melbourne. Big surprise. Experts raise concern about security of coronavirus tracing app. It's fucking stupid. Oh, that's an interesting one. 5 of the most popular types of whiskey and what makes them different from one another. That's just because I look up things to do with booze. And also because it was World Cocktail Day yesterday and I was looking that up. 10 classic Sydney dishes you can now get takeaway. That's also because of coronavirus. Oh, it's the cute one. Kangaroo curls up by man's heater in Victoria. Nice. The unemployment numbers, which are nasty. Again, another bad story. You have to be a bad story if you're not coronavirus. That dead shit who got pulled over for speeding and then the 4 cops got hit by a truck while he was pulled over. More coronavirus stories. Oh, another murder. Oh, geez. So it's either coronavirus or murder in the news. That's really, really depressing. And trade wars with China, which is also linked to coronavirus. Businesses on the market because of coronavirus. It's all about coronavirus. Wow, apart from technology gaming news, even the entertainment news is about coronavirus. Sports news is about coronavirus. Ugh, it's all a bit much. Yes, Fletcher, Cabargo still hasn't been rebuilt from the bushfires. That's another failure of the federal government. Well, and Spidey, they're going to get back to filming the Batman movie. Making films be very, very, very difficult because the number of people who have to be in a closed space. But we'll see. Aussie company. Speaking about murder, been listening to the Gary Jubilant podcast. I feel like I'm the odd one out that I don't like true crime podcasts. Something about them just creeps me out. Ooh, what's that link, Charlie? I can't actually click it from... No, I can't actually click it from here. It does that. All right. So in that podcast, the dude talks to famous Aussie detectives. Big Pat, AZ is supposed to be here. He said, he texted me like 10 minutes ago saying he would be here. If I watch this on Facebook, can I click the link from Facebook? Let me see. How's this work? How does this work? Charlie, list of policy changes and rollbacks supporting the mining industry. Okay. Oh, right. Yes. Okay. If I understand what point you're trying to get to me, Charlie, that the federal government seems to be pulling a bunch of Swifties while we're all obsessed with coronavirus. Fletcher, have I watched The Lion King now? You mean the original animation or the recent computer-generated animation? Answer to both is actually no. I've watched bits of the original Lion King. I've never sat and watched it through, though. Oh, yeah, that was a fun one, Line Spider. I saw that today. Racist potato fascist Dutton pushing through laws that would give ASIO the power to forcibly interview 14-year-olds without lawyers present. Like they would have the power to get rid of a lawyer if they thought the lawyer was being too difficult. And this is specifically for targeting environmental protesters. This, for the LNP, man, the party of small government, the party of freedom of the individual, are a bunch of fucking jackbooted authoritarians. If they do not like you politically, they will fuck you up. Invisible Chicken, Lion King was first movie you saw at the cinema. Nice. And hello, Abigail. Yeah. I'm glad that scares everyone. I'll get a breakdown of it because it was bad. Good. Personal freedom under serious threat with new ASIO bill. Dun dun dun. Okay. So. So it's, see if I can find a detail. I know the basic thing is ASIO being able to interview 14-year-olds without a lawyer. Being able to slip a non-intrusive tracking device on Australians with no warrant. I mean, we fucking know they do it anyway, but to actually write into law they can force interviews with children without a lawyer, let alone adults without a lawyer. They can track people without a court order, without a warrant. The government will argue these amendments are necessary to ensure the continued safety of Australians. But the conferral of coercive questioning powers on an intelligence agency is highly extraordinary and unusual measure, which has no equivalent under the laws of Australia's counterparts in the Five Eyes Alliance. Yep, it's not good. Let's see if I can get a thing that does the ABC say the specific thing? Modernizing ASIO. Oh, here's the thing. Dutton's saying, if you give us just blanket powers to force 14-year-olds into interviews with no lawyer, he says, it will only apply to teenagers suspected of engaging in terrorist attacks, not espionage or other examples of foreign. Like, who the fuck would trust these munted fucks? And this is what I always come back to. If you do trust them, and I think you're a fucking idiot if you do trust them, but if you do trust them, these laws will still be on the books when they're not in power and someone you do not trust is in power. And then the people you do not trust have these legal powers to just fuck people over. And the fucking Labour Party agrees with them. It's just like, oh, holy shit. But it's just like, it's really bad. As I say, the aspects of these laws are basically unprecedented. And here we go. The Law Council of Australia President Pauline Wright welcomes some aspects of the bill, but questioned the need to lower the minimum age for questioning of terror suspect from 16 to 14. So, yes, Ms. Wright also raised concerns about a proposal to allow ASIO to internally authorize tracking devices without getting a warrant. It's just like, fucking hell. It's just, hey, why don't we just give the spooks absolutely limitless power and no oversight? Pugwash, good morning. Never trust someone who's only doing it for the money. I don't know. I think often someone who's just doing it for the money is more trustworthy than someone who's driven by ideology. Fletcher, I just got, you meant Tiger King, not Lion King. See, I wondered why you were bringing up Lion King. I thought that was a super weird thing to bring up. You know, you big Disney head. No, I have not watched Tiger King. I have not been watching much TV at all because I'm still working, so I don't have huge amounts of free time, and doing these live streams most nights rather than sitting around watching TV. So I have not watched much TV. I kept up with a few shows like Devs and Westworld, and I've watched a few other things. Been watching Lock and Key on Netflix. Watched a few episodes of season 2 of Afterlife, that Ricky Gervais series. Watched a couple of movies. Got another couple of movies lined up to watch that I haven't had the chance to watch yet. Might get to watch some this weekend, but yeah, I've not been watching that many TV shows. Safa, would it be good if we had a federal ICAC? Yes, it would. You could tell it would be good by how much the LNP don't want it. I'm really surprised how in favor Labor are. I said, God, duh. Have you guys cleaned up your act or something? You're just so gung-ho, like, yeah, an actual independent corruption investigator. Awesome. Like, God, you must be really confident that various people have cleaned up their act, because the LNP sure isn't confident about it. Aussie Gumbunny, you've been watching Lucifer. I watched, I think, the first 2 seasons of Lucifer because it was inspired by a comic that I read back in the day. It was inspired by the Sandman comic. Yes, in the Sandman comic, Lucifer gave up the keys to hell and opened a piano bar in Los Angeles. And in the TV series, yeah, he's abandoned hell and opened a nightclub in Los Angeles. Has some of the same characters that was in the Sandman comic, like Mazikeen, but it's its own thing. Yeah. I just remember bits I really liked, because Lucifer's only a side character in the Sandman comics. There's a bit I really liked. The demon Mazikeen. I think that they showed it once or twice in the TV show, she has a form where half her face is ripped off, and in the comic, half her face was always ripped off, and so she talks like this because she doesn't have lips on this side, and but she was door bitch at Lucifer's club Lux, and there's a fun thing. The Sandman, also known as Dream, Lord of Dreams, his sister named Delirium, and she's the personification of delirium. So all the people with various forms of mental illness, mental health disorders are hers. They're her children, and she can control. She can, drive someone insane, or she can talk to people who no one else can talk to. But there was a great moment she had when they went to go into the club, and Mazikeen was on the door, but she was wearing a half face mask that covered up the side of her face that was ripped off, and so she didn't really speak because just speak like this because there's a big hole on this side. And Mazikeen was being mean to her and just pointed at her and said, "If you're not nicer to me, I will turn you into a scary half-faced demon lady, and you'll think you've always been like that and always will be," which was, pretty freaky because that's what she was. I probably told that really badly. Stella, you love Lucifer because all the actors are hot. Yes, that was a big part of the TV show, that everyone was hot. Constantine's part of that. It's the DC Vertigo universe. There were crossovers with Constantine and the Sandman as well. That was like in the 90s. The Sandman was published in the 90s, written by Neil Gaiman. It's the first thing that made him really famous, more famous in the intervening decades as a novelist. But yes, he started as a journalist, I think. But in the arts, he started writing comics, and then moved into being a novelist. I was super into the Sandman. It was all this very metaphysical notion of these beings who were sort of outside of existence. They weren't gods. They came before gods. They were the personification of states of being or states of mind. I did see that rumor, Aussie Gun Bunny, there'd be Justice League, either TV show or movie, where Keanu was going to be Constantine. If he looks and acts a bit more like John Wick, that would be better. Yes, I saw that, Stella. Neil Gaiman announced an audio version of The Sandman with a very much an all-star cast was coming out. That will be very interesting. Because, he's been under, discussion for decades for either a movie or TV adaptation of The Sandman, and it's never happened. I know it's half past. AIDS's doing his usual thing of 20 minutes ago, he said, "Here I go," and we don't see him yet. Well, mayhap we shall see him anon. I got because I'm sophisticated, you probably can't see. I've got a couple of lime slices in my Pepsi. Adds just a really nice, subtle flavor to it. I am quite hooked on putting additives in my Pepsi. I got Megaleech into adding bitters to Pepsi, and that's quite good. and but fresh lemon is very good. Yes, Line Spider. I like the John Wick movies, but then again, I do actually like action movies. Yes, I've seen the. I thought, have I seen the third one? I have. Parabellum, Prepare for War. I just liked the way they had. This sounds pretty sick, but the way John Wick kills people is different to basically any other movie. You make sure of it. Look, I spoke the devil's name and he appeared.
Oh, you didn't even have to do it 3 times. That was the scary part. How did I know that you didn't do it 3 times? Because you've got an aversion to Triassic numerology.
That's fair. But I'm not even joking. 60 seconds before you appeared, I mentioned that you hadn't appeared yet. So, Aidsy has been summoned.
I have been summoned from the deep. Hang on, let me see if I can get a really better.
All right, you're actually going to.
Yeah. Let me see if I can do this properly.
I was watching one of the cocktail channels I subscribe to on YouTube, an Australian one, Steve the Bartender. He's very good. He's very popular, and he's doing this thing like I'm doing a rapid infusion of cacao nibs into this spirit, and he did it by putting it was Campari and cacao nibs, and he put them in a nanginator, and then put a nang bulb in, and the pressure supposedly forces a rapid infusion of the cacao nibs into the beverage. It's Campari in this case. And they do this thing where he lets the gas out cautiously because he didn't want to lose any of the drink. He wanted to depressurize it. And as he's doing it, I'm going, put your mouth over the nozzle, you wuss. Do it. Do it for the people. But he didn't. He wasted the name.
What a fucking wow pass. I can't even fucking begin I can't get redacted words to fucking set up for what he's done. I'm just going to try and get my deep voice going and see how this works. I don't even know how to make it go theoretically. Here we go.
Well, give it a go. Give it a go. Give it a red hot go.
There are some times when I think that basically coming home from work and simply making a cocktail would be a fine thing to do.
Yeah.
But
I've seen
getting it. Yes, what?
I've seen people do a thing because like we all know, like if you inhale helium, it tightens your vocal cords and your voice goes high and squeaky, and everyone finds that hilarious. But there's another gas, and I forget what it's called. It's very, very heavy, and if you ingest that, it has the opposite effect, and your voice does this really over the top James Earl Jones deep bass. And the funny thing is, because this gas is heavy, it'll stay sitting there in your lungs. Like, because helium dissipates really quickly because it's light. This one's really heavy and it'll sit there and you'll have this thing for ages. In fact, I saw this guy said the only way to get it over quickly, and he went and stood on his Aussie Gun Bunny's the man. He knows what it is. Sulfur hexafluoride.
And also CFC is the other one that'll do it.
CFC is the other one
that'll do it.
Hey? Chlorofluorocarbons are a poison. They may well have that effect, but inhaling them is a super bad idea. Whereas sulfur hexafluoride is not technically poisonous. You obviously can't breathe it exclusively, but this guy said the only way to get rid of it quickly, because it'll sit in your lungs for ages, and he stood on his head, and then just the gravity made the heavy gas come down out through his mouth. and his voice got back to him.
Where did you get that one from? The CFC is poisonous.
It's poison. We took them out of circulation because it was making a hole in the ozone layer. You can't get CFC. I think I don't know if you're confused.
No,
I'm not
you can't. You definitely can't.
But you can't get
definitely
CFCs
can't.
anymore.
You definitely can't get CFCs anymore, and it's because they were making holes in the ozone layer. But they were initially set up for refrigerants.
Yes.
Because they were cheap, and they were effective, and they were basically something that was not harmful. Now, obviously, one of us has got our back end going wrong, so I'll have to run off at some point and do some fact checking, and I'll get that done. But some of the coolest stuff you can do with CFCs is all about basically inhaling them. And they're
I suspect you're confused. I think you'll have trouble finding a video of someone inhaling CFCs and making their voice go deep.
And also, CFCs are inflammable as well. They won't burn. So that was the other thing that made them a good industrial gas to.
Well, they were in all the spray cans, deodorant and everything was all powered by CFCs in the 70s. It was cheap and effective, yeah. And then we found out it was really, really dangerous.
And then, of course, it was destroying the Earth, which was a shame, because the Earth is a nice place. But you can't visit there on Sundays. Oh, no. Not unless you're wearing your church clothes. Sorry. Yes. No. Go on.
I think Aussie Gun Bunny saw like the same episode of the Curiosity Show as me. They poured the sulfur hexafluoride, whatever the fuck it was, into a little aquarium, and then they made like a little boat out of aluminium foil and dropped it, and the boat just seemed to float on the air because the sulfur hexafluoride was so dense it would just sit on it. So I think he watched the same episodes of the Curiosity Show that I did. And as Pugwash points out, water is technically not poisonous, but attempting to breathe it is not advised.
No. Yeah, not advised. Please do not breathe this stuff, as it was not actual oxygen or air. Not advised. Anything that's not air is not advised.
Yeah, it's like there's a tech euphemism, and it's used in medicine as well. You say something is contraindicated, as in don't do that, you fucking idiot. Do not fucking do that.
Or you've got 2 or 3 things lined up together, and you go, which one of which do I put with which? And you go, that combination is contraindicated. And then your friend is trying to tell you that you're about to blow us all the fuck up. Which, it's not always bad. Depends on if you're at a Queensland party. It could be fun.
Sometimes you want that.
There is nothing quite like putting the actual divot marks in the Queensland University's pool tables. That's fun, because then what you do is you put in little gold magic marker who it was, what date, what night it was, and when, and basically for decades down the line, they'll have to remember that some cockheads from Bathurst came and blew up their pool table in the middle of the night while they were fucking off their guts on lines.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find if there's a handy guide that tells us what effect CFCs have on your voice. But of course, it's just all hundreds of results saying CFCs destroy the environment. Yeah, no, it's too distracting for me to scroll through 20 pages of Google results trying to find something that's not about burning a hole in the ozone layer.
Don't worry about that, mate. We will have a look.
I speak too soon. Stella has Google Foo. She's done some research already. Inhalation of CFCs affects the central nervous system. Result is intoxication similar to that produced by alcohol, including lightheadedness, headache, tremors, and convulsions. Can also disturb the heart rhythm, which can lead to death. See, I told you it was a bad idea.
Yes.
Exposure to large amounts of CFCs could cause asphyxiation. Acute inhalation study, humans were exposed for several hours. As concentration increased, health impacted. So even if it does make your voice go funny, it sounds like a super fucking bad idea to do it. Whereas the sulfur hexafluoride, you don't want too much of it, but it apparently doesn't have any significant health effects if you just do like a balloon with it. Oh, Shellformer in with the puns. I inhale KFC.
The sulfur hexafluoride.
Yeah.
Where did you hear of that first, do you think?
I reckon it was the Curiosity Show. Do you remember the Curiosity Show? It was made kids science show made, and they were all actually professors from Adelaide University. I thought they were just TV presenters, but they were all actually professors.
They were all professors from the Adelaide University. Sulfur hexafluoride. Okay, I'm trying to get a idea of whether it was that stuff that they use to set stuff on fire instantly. It's a gas that is so inflammable that as soon as it hits air, it immediately spontaneously bursts into flame. And
that's definitely not sulfur hexafluoride.
The SR-71 going. That's how they got it going into what was it? In a fast mode, was to hit this chemical. It'd blast out the rearward jets. The afterburners, and the fucking thing would be hitting Mach 3.6 before you knew it, which is very, very fast as a speed. As a number, not much really. Doesn't do much for you or me, but as a speed, Mach 3.6 is really, really making the books as a new form of going places very, very, very fucking fast and not getting shot down.
Yeah. Sorry. Aussie Gun Bunny informs us that we can find out some of this stuff. I assume this is a YouTube channel, Cody's Lab. He actually has a video about what happens if you mix helium and sulfur hexafluoride and inhale it. There's a comment that said he sounded like a moose falling off a cliff.
Wow. That's
science. You're a scientist when you do stuff like that.
A moose.
But I mean, sodium, pure sodium, the metal burns in air. If you're saying there are gases that'll just go foomf. Sodium's a fucking metal that does that.
So will aluminium. If treated correctly, aluminium will do the same thing. Will burn in air.
You can burn it. And magnesium makes for very good flares and fuses for certain bombs because it will burn very easily. But sodium, literally, with no treatment, you have to suspend sodium, I think, in water, because if it just sits and exposes to air.
I see where you're going with this. Yes, you're right. You're totally right. sodium will absolutely self-ignite in air on its own, and it'll be given that I was once yellow. Now I'm a bit more yellow. Then
Yeah.
I'm going to be a bit blue. Then I'm going to be yellow. Then I'm
Ah,
going to be dark.
Abigail corrected me. I knew there was something you had to suspend in oil. Sodium burns in water, and it's the water vapor content of air that makes sodium burn. There's another combustible metal that you do keep in water. And because I remember it in high school science, the science teacher had a little sample of it in the thing, and take it out of its solution that it's suspended in and put it on a petri dish, and away it goes. Yeah, okay, sodium. And I knew there was something that went really nuts in water, and it's sodium that really goes off in water. The other metal is a bit more obscure. Something in water.
Not magnesium. Not magnesium.
What metal can react with water? Lithium, sodium, potassium. We already established fucking sodium. What am I talking about? Anyway, why? Oh, potassium. It was potassium. Pure potassium will fucking go off as well. Yeah.
Going off in water, going off.
Yeah, I remember. That was one of the more fun bits of,
glow, going off as a noble gas should.
yeah. Yeah, he also did a fun thing with phosphor.
Well, who doesn't do a fun thing with phosphor?
Yeah.
Who can't do a fun thing with phosphor?
The American military.
When you've got phosphor and you say, here, have some phosphor, try not to do something fun. You'd have to be 4 on the scale of hard to make it not fun.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to be 6 on the scale of hard to make it work as not fun. Because frankly, anyone else who's a human who has phosphor and says, go, make this light burn and do something interesting. Mate, I think the heavens, the sciences, the worlds, the natures have combined for you to make something cool go.
That sounds about right. I'm liking the sound of that. So it's half time. I think I'm going to. I've got a cocktail in the fridge. Oh, Anthony says hello, AIDSy. So
hello, Anthony. I'm going to do an ad just before.
Yes, no, a word from our sponsor.
A word from our sponsor. Now, here's the thing, guys. I've had birthdays, many of them, and a few of them I was very fucking lucky to have because, in fact, I was in the process of dying as it was all happening. And when you go through your life, you expect to have fairly biggish birthdays at certain events in your life. You expect your 21st, your 20th, your 21st, your 30th, your 40th, and your 50th to be something fairly decent, right? I've got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that at each one of those fucking birthdays, except for my 50th, which is coming up, they were shit because I was either in hospital, dying, technically dead, technically coming back from the dead, or basically being told that I was going to be on a rotating bed for the next 60 hours. Happy birthday, sir. And so nothing good happened There were no fun parties. There were no fun drugs. My mates didn't even bother to come and fucking see me. Later on, I found out they weren't allowed to come and see me. It was shit all round. And so what we're trying to do this year is we're trying to do something a bit special. We're trying to get together some money to give to Angry to put into a fund to get a tablet. And this tablet's going to be good for essentially 3D drawing and for video editing, essentially, and also for writing scripts and shit like that, and also for talking to our corporate sponsors, which we'll need to do lots and lots of. And so this thing's going to be very useful for that. So we'd like you guys, rather than some one person to put in, several $100,000, we want everyone to put in, maybe $20 or something, 20, $30. And I'd also like to see if we can't push it to a plane ticket to Canberra with boss of the house to have a bit of a get together with the people there, because I never see those people, and I never see them because they're in Canberra, and they can't come to Melbourne because there are border controls. There's a passport regulation when you get to Melbourne. If you're not cool enough or have no art taste, you're not allowed in. And that's harsh on my friends, because the police know they've got it. They've got it. And they even say we're AG's mates, but the police say you haven't got the paperwork, you haven't got the tie. I'm sorry. Put the put the genitals away. Because it's just not going to work. Sorry, you're going back to Canberra, and it's a long drive. It's a long drive. So we should try and see if we can't get me to Canberra for a weekend to say hello to them. How do I put this? I'm gonna put this once, and then we're gonna spread it amongst ourselves, and we're just gonna leave it. I've got to go to Canberra this one time because I've got to see this one guy one time, and it'll be one time. So we're going to push for this event to happen. In the meantime, I've got some very interesting news. I've got some gossip. I've got some fashion tips. I've got some Hollywood memories. Here's my first Hollywood memory. Please no, Garrett, no, please no, Garrett, put the gun away. I thought that it was a bit harsh what Garrett did, and I thought cocaine was just way too easy to get back in those days. But if you're worried about fucking nuclear bombs going off every 5 seconds, hey, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? What else was I going to tell you? I've been watching the COVID virus very carefully on internet, and what I've finally come to is that it's a disease that hurts people.
Cutting edge stuff, mate. Cutting edge stuff. See, we need your wisdom on this.
I thought you'd like that. I thought you'd think, AZ's onto it here. AZ's onto it here. We're going to lose AZ because he's going to be taken to the Centres for Disease Control, and they're going to say he's got an idea. He's got an idea, and they're going to put me up in the 5-star, and it's going to be that way for pretty much the rest of me born days.
Yep.
Pretty much the rest of the born days.
Yeah, that sounds about real. It does. It sounds clear. Hey, you didn't get to see this. I think I showed others in the live stream earlier. Remember me, the I made the Shut the Fuck Up cocktail last night, and it ended up being a sort of murky blue-gray color. I finished the clarification process, and now it's like this brilliant yellow. So now it tastes good and looks. I'm not going to drink it tonight because I think this, at a guess, is somewhere between 8 and 10 standard drinks in this. So
that's full on, man.
Maybe tomorrow night. Maybe. Oh, and I've got to make a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster tomorrow night too. I think.
Yeah, I've got to bring in some ideas for that as well. And clearly, I've got to somehow get some of the humidity out of this house. Can you see the steam in the house?
No, you're not high enough resolution to see humidity.
Really?
Really?
Okay, fair enough.
So, Strictly Sega wants to know where to donate. I haven't actually set up. It's got to be like a GoFundMe or something. I have to work out of the various crowdfunding sites which would be the right one to use. We'll actually provide a link and ask everyone's help with promoting it when it's live, which will be soon. Musical Aviator has been doing some search. He thinks the thing I was trying to think of that combusts in normal air at room temperature be phosphorus. I did notice Aussie Gun Bunny saying he hates phosphorus because I think it's when he was in the military, he had to put out a fire started by a white phosphorus shell. It's just like, that's not a good job. That's not a good
job. That would be annoying as hell. Because you'd be trying to put it out and the fire and then it and then the fire and then it and then the fire and then the fire and then the fire, then it and then it and the fire. It'd be like trying to, make a riptide go away using dye or something like that.
I feel like Aussie Gun Bunny must have pissed off his sergeant or an officer to say, okay, you go put out the white phosphorus fire.
What would be really good is if you got a one of those gardening sprinkler sprayers, with like a hardcore sprayer, and you put chlorheptane in it over your anything burnable. And basically, what it'll do is it'll put a cap of unburnable shell over the top, and then once it's all collected together, it'll pop through and burn all at once. Much like we would call them an explosion. But they're not really. They're a deflagration. And they'd pop straight up, and then that'd be it. It'd be finished. There'd be no more fire going on. There'd be no more, I'm going to burn your shit down. It's over. We're finished. There's no more bushfire going on. There's no more fucking fire going on the street. No. Heptane, you just fucking pour that shit all over there. Hi, guys. Don't worry about me. I'm just pouring some cycloheptane over this potentially deadly chemical. Soon I'm going to set it on fire. That's going to be a thing to see. Because I'm going to be whacking a little bit of something quite spectacularly explosive in there with it. Because I want you to think about it as upside down underwater, and so we're putting the underwater part on now, and so you put that on, and then you'll put something really full on in there, pop it, and then it'll pop straight out of the heptane, and then boom, just fucking go off. The heptane itself will spread, and as it spreads, it'll burn, and then it'll all stop. It's just amazing. It's just an amazing thing to see.
Just say, oh, Aussie Gun Bunny actually clarified there was about 100 guys trying to put the white phosphorus fire out. I thought he was just on punishment duty. He's like, no, white phosphor shell just exploded. You, Muggins, you've been annoying me. Put it out.
Put it out. Off you go. Thanks, boss. I'll just get my good boots on. No, don't take your good boots. It's Australian fucking money. Take your bad boots with the shitty fucking kick soles. What do they call them?
Oh my God. No, he's explained what happened. Every now and then they'd have dud shells that they'd have to dispose of. So they drive up to an isolated area on a high range, pile up the shells, and put a charge on it. This was only ever with high X shells, not white phosphorus. But one time, some clown mixed up a white phosphorus round. And it took 2 days to put out. Jesus.
You think sometimes these clowns that weren't watching because they weren't watching, or they weren't watching because they were watching, but they wanted to do something that was much more interesting than what they were doing?
You have to wonder sometimes.
What does Gun Bunny think?
Yeah. So Annette's informed us she's full of red wine and lollygobble bliss bombs. And isn't that just the best name for a snack? Lollygobble bliss bombs. I've always liked that.
Best thing, yeah.
And they're basically, that's like honey-coated popcorn, basically. Or something-coated popcorn.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's honey-coated kind of popcorn with bits and pieces of lolly in it.
Yeah.
And it's toffee in it.
Toffee. It's more like toffee than honey, yeah. The dates back to the 70s. I think some stoned hippie invented it and gave it the name in the 70s.
Yes, I believe so.
I just remember my sister having it, and that was like right back in. I wonder if I can find the history of them. Now I want to know. Lolly Bobble bliss bombs. They call them food. That's a bit rich. What does Wikipedia says? It's an Australian snack food released in the 1970s, caramelized, ready-to-eat popcorn. That's the way to put it. It's caramelized. Yeah. Concept was first floated by the head food technologist for Greens, Sir Sean McMaster, in the late 1960s. He was on acid. Sir Sean was fucking tripping balls, and he's got, I've had a vision. I've had a vision. Oh, dear.
Sorry, that was beautiful. I've had a vision. I'm tripping balls, and I've had a vision. It's to do with honey and popcorn.
Yeah.
Are you with me? Do you know me? Do you find me? Are you New Zealand with me? And they'll be looking at him going, no. And then he'll give them more cocaine, and they'll go, yes. And then lollygobble bliss bombs will be formed, and everyone will go, I can't say it, but it tastes so great. Let's just sell this shit. It's just awesome. And it was, and it is, and people still buy it to this day. You can make it. Did you know that?
Oh, of course you could.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, I just mean, it's caramelized. You cook some popcorn and then roll them around in popcorn and caramel, and bloody sprinkle some nuts on them if you like that too.
Yes, absolutely.
Aussie Gun Bunny wants to know if there's a name for Scotch and ginger beer as a drink. I'm going to say yes.
I don't know.
But I'll need to look it up. That sounds like something someone would have given a name. Okay, yeah. An obvious name for it is a Glasgow mule. Because, of course, the famous Moscow Mule is vodka and ginger beer. So Scotch and ginger beer, call it a Glasgow Mule. That makes sense. So I was just looking it up. Yeah, and I'm just looking. Someone else has got a recipe of Irish whiskey with ginger beer, and they're just calling that an Irish Mule. So yeah, it's basically.
Is there one that's just beer?
There are a few beer cocktails. A Boilermaker is a popular one that's mostly beer and like has scotch in it.
Yeah, right. A Boilermaker.
Okay, yeah, Aussie Gun Bunny's looking. I saw there's another one called a Mamie Taylor. I'm not sure who Mamie Taylor is.
Mamie Taylor was a 20s gal of ill repute.
Was she now?
She was. See, I tell you, I couldn't be with her.
She was a famous opera singer.
Because, I couldn't be with her because of my fine Catholicism and me being close to being able to being a what did they call those castrati? A castrati.
Yeah.
Because everyone believes that I'm a castrati.
Okay. Yeah, no, but if you do Scotch, lime, and ginger beer, ginger ale, that's a Mamie Taylor. She was an opera singer in the turn of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aussie Gunman is saying shandies are cocktails. Technically, a shandy would be a cocktail. You've mixed beer and lemonade or soda water. But yeah, Boilermaker. I see. I don't really like beer, so I don't like beer cocktails. But there are quite a lot of beer cocktails, basically, and it's flattering it somewhat to call it a cocktail because it's a beer with a shot of whiskey in it. It is, it's like saying Scotch and soda is a cocktail. Technically, it is. Vodka and orange juice even has a name. It's a screwdriver, but it's just bloody vodka and orange juice. I'm being a bit snobby. That if you just dropping one thing in another thing, that's doesn't just barely counts as a cocktail.
So what are you? Okay. If you've decided that just dropping one thing in another thing is not your cocktail, is just barely a cocktail. It's just the AZ of cocktails.
It's right? The AZ of cocktails.
Knows how to identify crayons. Takes another 15 to 20 minutes to use them. Now, basically, what, in your opinion, starts to make a cocktail?
Well, yeah, I'd go 3 ingredients for a start. But yeah, it's where, again, I guess where I have a problem is if you're basically just dropping a shot of alcohol into something else. It's like, okay, well, that's not much, is it? But once you've got 3 elements and you're trying to get a balance between them, like, you get your classics, a sour where you have a spirit, a citrus juice, and a sweetener, and you strike a balance between all of those to come up with something new. A martini is gin or vodka and vermouth and, maybe an olive or some olive brine in there. And, a Manhattan is whiskey, vermouth, and bitters. It's basically when you're putting stuff in and you're actually finding ways to make them balance and complement each other. But just, fucking dropping a shot into a glass of beer is like, okay, sure. Technically, that's a cocktail. Yeah, and I was a gun bunny. A Bloody Mary, you could literally just do vodka and tomato juice is a Bloody Mary. Although lots of people like to get super fussy with a Bloody Mary
I
and
tell you
do
what,
Worcestershire sauce and
a
spices
very nice
and
Bloody Mary
celery
is
and whatnot.
I like a good Bloody Mary,
Yeah.
and I will spend a lot of time making a good Bloody Mary. For your breakfast, I really shouldn't have done it that hard last night, thought, and B, because it'll start that you're going to do it too hard tonight. You've got
Yeah.
things to do tonight and tomorrow. You shouldn't be doing it this hard right now.
Yeah.
Okay, fuck it. Make sure that the olive is squeezed and the pimento is almost out before it goes on the
Yeah.
edge of the glass. So a good Bloody Mary is something to behold. Because you look at the tomato juice and you go, I'm not going to drink fucking tomato juice. It's tomato juice. I'm drinking tomato sauce, for Christ's sake. And then you drink it, and the vodka has cut it down to just enough to make it reasonable. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, because the tomato juice wouldn't have mattered. It would have been fine to drink. And as it all goes down, it's like, no, we're all friends here. We're all violent, aggressive, substance abusing friends, but we're all friends here. And it's a really nice way to start a celebration, to start a party, to start I don't know, a dinner, to start breakfast after the night before, when you and she or he or she and he got back to your place for the first time, when you finally decided that it was actually time to get the gear off and show each other your genitals and put them into one another. To redact, to basically, I like to call it to redact, to basically put your genitals in places which have got to be redacted in the pictures. So yeah, to redact. You've had a good redact, and so get a Bloody Mary into you after a good redact, and you'll find yourself a lot more refreshed, and with like fruit and juice and tomato in you, and you just go, yeah, feeling good. I've got actual nutrients in me. Maybe I could do that again now. Okay, pants off, reduction time.
I'm actually, I'm going to say hi to Megalich, who just came in, but you also reminded me, I want to use you for one of your areas of expertise, something that you have proven to be very proficient in.
Let me just do two things. I've got to take one of these out of here. Good. That's good. That goes in there. That goes in there. That goes in there. Everyone's happy. Okay. This one. Goes in there, and I've just got to get some trumpets going. So now, talk to me now, because I can sort of.
One thing you have proven very good at is naming drinks. Now, I invented one recently that I gave a fairly arbitrary name, and it's not even an accurate name. So
that's very couch upholstery. Angry. No one's happy about that.
No,
because that's very chew the carpet. Angry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I called this a sumac martini just for something to do, and it's wrong because it's vodka. It's sumac infused vodka, but a martini is vodka and vermouth. Um, Whereas this is a whole different family. There's a whole different family of cocktails that are a spirit, a liqueur, and a citrus juice. Like one of my favorites, the sidecar is brandy, Cointreau, and lemon juice. And your classic margarita is tequila, Cointreau, and lime juice. So there's a whole family of cocktails that have that pattern, but they all have unique names. Like brandy, Cointreau, and
You're right.
lemon is a
You're
sidecar.
right. You're right there. You didn't fall over too much.
I didn't fall
You're
over.
right.
Who are you
You're
talking to?
okay. Good. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Only one of us fell over, and
All right. That's good then.
clearly I was okay. So
All right.
I was looking out for you. All right. So
Good.
we've got these ingredients.
Yeah. So, like, for instance, and they all have unique names. Like, I was really lazy and called this a variant on a martini when it's not a variant on a martini. So, yeah, like a brandy Cointreau lemon is a sidecar. Tequila, triple sec, and lime is a margarita. And this follows that pattern. It's a sumac infused vodka, velvet falernum, which is like a rum liqueur, and lime juice. So it needs a name. It's very red, and the sumac spice is a little bit salty and a little bit sour. So it's got a really good balance between that salty sour spice, the sweetness of the velvet falernum, and the tartness of lime juice. So it's a really well balanced drink, and it's very red. And yes, its surprise ingredient is sumac.
What
And
nation did you want to invoke?
well, it's a bit all over the shop. Actually, that's a good question. If I want to build it around sumac, where does sumac actually come from? Sumac, any one of 35 flowering plants, the genus Rus. Sumac grows in subtropical and temperate regions throughout the world, especially East Asia, Africa, North America. Okay, so it's a red flowering plant that grows in subtropical regions. And it's an antioxidant.
Shut up.
Oh, something's going on there.
These stupid children on this other bloody computer
Yes.
are talking. And I don't want them to talk. I want them to shut up. And I want them to... Hell. How about this? Go there and do this. Nope, I didn't do that.
No.
Okay, do that. Hey, there you go. Children, you're not as smart as you think you are. I will be back for your bones later. I better get some of that now. I've been sucking down the Nang, as you can see tonight, on a prodigious basis. And there's a reason behind that. For the next 3 days, I've got to be in a particular zone in order to make things in a good and happy place. But to do that, I've got to be particularly good and happy and free from certain other substances I've been near, on, around, or with, which will be fine but this will be the thing that'll make it all possible. And it'll also make me and Andrew sing the Little Red Toot song. Are you ready? Are you ready? The
Yeah.
little red toot goes toot 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 down the toot toot toot. The little red toot goes a toot 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 down the toot 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 toot. Drugs.
Little
I
Red
thought that
Toot.
went well.
All the kids know that one.
Little Red Toot. I think all the kids know and love that one, Little Red Toot. Because there's one version that goes prostitution and another one that goes pimpin' ain't easy.
Yeah.
But you know, I think I think to look at the kids of today, they've got it too easy. They're not working hard enough. They're not worked hard enough.
Yeah.
They're not whipped hard enough, and they're not put into a corner and made to cry and wonder if it's the daylight or the dark light that they're going to see when those blinds finally open when Brother Jim gets home.
These are the questions we ask ourselves in these trying times. Apparently,
Annette, trying times. I just thought any times. I thought
times.
that was pretty good. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Standing like this, my head gets cut off.
It does.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
That is fucked up in a great way. I never knew that. I'm so going to use that from now on.
Okay.
If you've been bad, Uncle Azy is going to come out and talk to you. Oh, that's because it's going to work like this, right? You know, have you been bad? Uncle Azy needs to talk to you all about the kinds of things that you need to prepare yourself to get ready for in the next 2 to 3 days. Wash yourself completely all over your body and all over your mind. Use petrol and get right into the nostrils and the eyelids. See, I'm thinking this could work as a primer for your cult and you, or how am I going to make my cult? Well, firstly, you've got to get your cult members to do their first cleansing in a market square or some such area. What was I doing? I was making crumpets, wasn't I?
I don't know.
With stuff on. I was making crumpets with stuff on, and then I was also going to have a couple of the, the one things that I like to have. The things, the nangs. Oh, thank God, I remembered a word. Sometimes when I don't remember words, it actually distresses me. Other times I go, it'll come back or it won't, whatever.
It's very interesting. You know, there in New South Wales, as of tomorrow, there's scope for pubs to open, but with a maximum capacity of 10 people. I have no idea how that would be viable.
Oh, I know how it'll be viable. I just don't like how ugly it's going to be. I'm going to ring up my New South Wales police friend and ask him how ugly it was, because it's going to be ugly, and he's going to tell me exactly how ugly it was.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that I've been looking for about a month. The whole time we've been locked in, this is the thing that I've been looking for. Mildly ashamed of myself. Ashamed of myself.
It's like,
okay, no, good. I can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah, I reckon New South Wales is a classic pub culture kind of
Yeah,
place, and
yeah,
as soon as they open those pubs,
yeah,
people are going to storm to be the first 10 in, and they're
yeah,
going to get one drink and be told to piss off out and go. That's
yeah,
going to be how it'll work. There'll be publicans on the other side of the the tape saying, "Give me your glass," and it'll be put in washing water straight
yeah,
away, and you'll
yeah.
be told to piss off to the other end of the line. And if you want another beer, you'll have to wait until it's your turn on the line again.
But
Which
no matter
means,
how they do it, I don't see how it's possible to be economically viable with 10 people because it just won't be. And in fact, that's what Dan Andrews said in Victoria. He said, "That's dumb. You can't make that economically viable. We're going to keep the cafes and restaurants and pubs closed until we think it's sensible to allow them to have up to 100 people in the pub." Because the 10 people is just it's not economically viable. How they're talking about doing it, the venue opens the door, lets 10 people in. It's all table service. You have to sit on a table. You'll have an app on your phone where you make orders, and it'll be contactless payment, and you'll have a dedicated waiter who comes to you. And it's just, unless they quadruple the prices, it's just not viable. Stell's asking, did they say you have to buy a meal with drinks? I don't think they said that, but also it's in charge those 10 people $100 each. So you have to basically quadruple your prices. Dan Andrews is right. It doesn't make any sense financially. You can't make that work and make money. Uh, it's just weird. But we'll see what happens. It's probably not going to be pretty. There's a big question of if anyone will open, because they'll look at it and go, "I can't make money with 10 patrons. That's dumb." But yeah, it's Stell's going in at least one of the states, 2-hour limit and must buy food with drinks. Yeah, it's just it's ridiculous. It's not going to work. Even when these places were full, most of them were running on razor thin margins, and they're in the red when they lost one day of trading. The idea of having to pay the staff to
can
serve
you not
at a time.
swear on the show? Because we'll get redacted, and we'll have all of our money taken off us. We'll be yeah, yeah, we'll be. What's the bloody word for redacted? Redacted. We'll be
Censored,
redacted.
censored.
Yeah, censored. Yeah, for that bloody word you said about something with staff. Don't say this something with staff again, please. Um, I don't like it, and our political leaders don't like it either. They've made that patently obvious. Except, did you see Danny Andrews go off his fucking mind when it was suggested that they should fire certain amounts of staff for free because of the terrible terrible mishap, the terrible um, mishap that the bloody virus was going to give all the employers, and the employers should be given effectively they should be given 87% wages um, uh, freeze. And Andrews went off his fucking mind, going, well, if you don't like it, don't fucking open. And so they all tended to shut up. It was about
Well,
the
I
same
think
time.
they can look forward to the federal Liberals very actively trying to destroy even the most basic industrial relations protection, get rid of all penalty rates, all protections for workers, all minimum conditions, and just drive us back into the dark ages and say you should be grateful for the crumbs you're getting, you fucking vermin. So there's going to be major industrial chaos in the coming years because Scotty from marketing and his crew of fucking clowns are going to go out of their way to destroy even the most basic protections for workers in the name of, well, everything's different now, so you don't have basic rights anymore. Oh, g'day, David, by the way. Nice to see you. So, yes, I think Musical Aviator might be some joint ideas. Abigail and Musical Aviator saying if the 10 clients are millionaires and they all arrive on the helipad via their private helicopters, that could be viable. That might work. So it's a. I meant to do that. Okay. Yeah, it's a strange and mysterious world, and you never know what's going to happen. But yes, it's a weird and uncertain world we live in, and we just don't know what's going to happen. The parallels to the 1918 flu are really disconcerting because we're like at the midpoint of the first wave, and then of course the first wave was somewhat controlled and everyone went, we're fine, and stopped taking precautions. And then the second and subsequent wave killed at least 25 million people. Hurrah! And just the thought of that being what's waiting for us is incredibly troubling. And you see some countries seem to be charging headlong into it. Notably, the US and Brazil seem to be aggressively charging into it. The UK sadly seems to be stumbling into it through incompetence. And there are troubling signs in a few other places too, like Russia for one. But God, even just the idea of thinking you can look at what's happening now and convince yourself, well, this is how it will always be. We know what it is now. What we see today is what we shall always see. This is the way it will always be. And like, no, not really. Just because we're at a particular stasis today doesn't tell us anything definitive about what is going to be happening in 6 months. And it's just, particularly in the US is such an at-risk population, and just charging into, hey, we're going to drop all restrictions now, it just doesn't look good. Alexander, let's not forget the geniuses in charge in the UK wanted no lockdown. Oh, yeah. Yes, as you say, they had this brilliant herd immunity idea, And then it started to become apparent that would mean a minimum of 250,000 dead in the first year, as opposed to the mere 33,000 dead now. Again, it's about a 15% mortality rate in the UK, which is really bad. The US has about a 5% mortality rate. More than that. 7.5%. But the UK death rate appears to be twice as bad as the US. But there could be a whole bunch of things contributing to it. Yes, Abigail, that's the thing everyone says. In 1918, people were so tired of social distancing after the first wave, they literally partied in the streets and had parades celebrating the end of isolation. And then came wave 2. And yes, 25 to 50 million dead people later. And yes, the parallels are truly terrifying. People think life is weird now. If this shit gets out of control, the world in a year will be unrecognizable. It won't be weird. It will be nightmarish. But again, who fucking knows? Maybe we get things more or less under control. Maybe we get a vaccine. Of course, that would make the world of difference. A vaccine would change everything. Bearing in mind, we have literally never successfully developed a vaccine for a coronavirus. Now, there are enormous resources being devoted to trying to find a vaccine. And of course, the best people in the world to be doing the work are doing it. So, maybe this is humanity's moment to shine. Maybe we come through exactly when it's needed. But if we don't get a vaccine, there's not going to be any international travel until after there's a vaccine, because it's just too high risk. And if we don't develop, even without a vaccine, if we don't develop an effective treatment, we will ultimately, like over the course of the next year or so, still have a horribly high number of fatalities, simply because it will unless we become Fortress Australia, unless we keep absolutely clamped down on it, you'd have without a vaccine, you'd have an eventual death toll, whether it takes a year or 2 years or whatever, but you'd have an eventual death toll in the hundreds of thousands. Safa, was Spanish flu also a coronavirus? I don't think so. I think it's a different strain. I think it was the equivalent of the swine flu. Yeah, it was H1N1. So that's the same influenza virus that caused the recent swine flu pandemic, which we thankfully managed to contain. And in fact, I think since 1918, all major outbreaks, even if they never actually qualified as pandemics, were variants of H1N1. It mutates all the time. But coronavirus is an entirely different family of viruses. I think the common cold is a coronavirus. I could easily be wrong on that, but that feels like something I read, that the common cold is a coronavirus. But yes. Oh, there you go. Invisible Chicken agrees with me. The common cold is a coronavirus. I thought it was. And this is the whole thing. You can't cure the common cold. Coronaviruses are very difficult to treat. And yeah, influenza is completely different. Influenza is usually worse than a coronavirus, but this is the first highly contagious and potentially fatal coronavirus we've had. So I think this is the our first coronavirus pandemic. Other pandemics had been H1N1 influenza. Oh, good point, Alexander. We call a bunch of different things the common cold. So only some of common colds are caused by coronaviruses. And yes, because we just call a whole... It's like when people get sick, I've got the flu. No, you don't. As in you don't have influenza, because you'd fucking know it if you had influenza. Is it squirting out both ends? Then no, you don't have influenza. I got it last year from fucking VidCon, a stomach flu, and oh my god, the projectile vomiting. Oh my god. Oh, it was so bad. Oh look, AIDS's come back. I think. Are you back? You vanished, brother. Can't hear you. Cannot hear you. I don't know what you've done, but cannot hear you. So I don't know if something disconnected when you went off for your walk, but you all are inaudible. And I don't mean that you are residing in the well-known audiobook app. Ha! Oh my god, I should be on Saturday Night Live with fucking wordplay like that. That's it, David. Rhinovirus is another thing that causes what we call the common cold. Rhino nose, yes. Okay, so it's coronaviruses and rhinoviruses. Aussie Gun Bunny had to do the dishes. Man, it's never fucking ending, isn't it? With everyone at home, having all the meals at home, fucking dishwasher is going non-stop. Sometimes, it's kind of like one day, you have to do it every day, and one day I didn't. And so by the end of the second day, there were 3 fucking loads. I was just like, oh, okay. Yes, it would be bad, David, if something like smallpox or polio made a comeback. So we don't want that. Even measles, the fucking dipshit anti-vaxxers are causing measles outbreaks all around the world. Well, not anymore, but yeah, they were. Stuff, would I go back to VidCon? Not till we have this shit sorted out. I'll tell you that much for free. There ain't no VidCon until there's a vaccine. It still amazes me. People go like, there was some major event, and they go, oh, the big event's cancelled. I'm so sad. And going, what part of fucking everything is cancelled? Don't you get? It's like, if a vaccine, an effective vaccine was developed tomorrow, I don't think we'd have any major events inside of 6 months. Because the time it would take to manufacture and roll out the vaccine, even if it was immediately deemed effective and safe, would just take months and months. And big events take an enormous amount of planning and a huge amount of money to set up. And you are not going to sink that money in until you are sure the event can go ahead. Oh no, Stella, this thing I had, I know, first I thought it was just a stomach bug, but there was apparently a relatively benign mutation of H1N1 going around. It was like a swine flu variant, and Yeah, it was the whole, and because it actually affected Mrs. Angry differently. She had a worse fever, and it lasted for days for her. But yes, having talked to a doctor, there was actually a variant of H1N1 doing the rounds, and available evidence suggests that's what I had. It was not good, was not pleasant. But yes, major events aren't going to happen inside of 6 months. And I mean, I got to be honest, I don't think they're going to happen inside of a year. But I still can't hear you, brother man. Just so you know, I will tell you the instant I can hear you. I don't know what's gone wrong, but I can't hear you now. And then you saw people moaning, world travel won't be to normal till 2021. It's going to be so constrained for such a long time. Like I say, the absolute minimum, step one for international travel to happen at all, except, like we're talking about having a little travel bubble with us and New Zealand. But world travel, the absolute minimum to even consider that. Now he's just got the shits. The absolute minimum for that to happen is an effective vaccine that's been distributed all around the world. And so you need a couple of months of the vaccine being distributed and then the evidence that it's working. And then you go, oh, look, we can actually control it. Everyone can get vaccinated. And most countries would probably impose a rule that you can't travel internationally. You can't come in from overseas unless you have a certificate that says you've been vaccinated. And you think fucking international airports were a pain in the ass before. They'll be far worse in the future with like temperature checks and whatnot. So yeah, if by some miracle we get a vaccine, or they believe it's a vaccine that works, it's going to be months and months and months till you know, because although can you imagine, they're actually talking about getting people to volunteer to be injected with the coronavirus. That actually volunteering to be injected with something that could kill you, Jesus, that would take a particular sort of mindset. What's AIDSy connecting through? I'm not sure what you're asking. There's some technical problem at his end with his headset or his laptop or something. And he's just connecting through StreamYard like always. So, yeah, see, this is why we want to get him a tablet. If it's Windows, he might need to check the audio input in the taskbar. I'm not sure, because I think he can hear me. I'm not sure if he wants to or understands the idea of checking the audio input in the taskbar. But that was something, AIDSy. That was something. Hey, that was something. That was something.
How was that? Did
That
you get
was
something
something.
there?
That was it. Now what have you done?
How's that?
That
Are we back?
works.
We back?
Yeah. Well, on the bright side, I got a message from the fucking headphone people that they're probably delivering it tomorrow. So I think a big problem is that headset you've got is shit.
There's probably that. You do know that this headset is close to 10 years old.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get you a new one on the weekend. So.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So
I'm sure that you guys will appreciate it too, as you can probably hear me rather than me going, it's a sex pedophile Jew.
All things being equal, yes. So
all things
come over and look at your gear.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
maybe we'll have that fixed by the weekend. Who knows?
Oh, that would be nice.
Something
Now,
to
but
look
let me
for.
see if I've made my dinner properly, and if I have, I'm going to sit down and eat it.
Well, anyway, because it's bedtime, so
Is
if
it
you did,
bedtime?
you can sit down and say good night and then eat in peace.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys rule my world. Thank you so much for being nice. I appreciate it. And please remember to steal your local bank branch's money to put into the AZ fund. And we'll be looking forward to doing some really redacted things
Yes,
in the very near future. Yeah.
definitely. So, look, take care of yourself, one and all. In the words of a great Australian, Jeff Fennick, we love yous all.
We do.
Yous are the beautifulest people. That was his memorable words one time after being punched in the head constantly for 45 minutes when he managed to punch the other guy in the head harder, so the other guy fell down. And then Jeff came out of the ring and they wanted some words of wisdom from someone who just spent 45 minutes getting punched in the head. And Jeff delivered. Said we were the beautifulest people in the world. So take that home with you, people. Yous are the beautifulest people in the world. So
do something with your life. Don't sleep on the beach.
Yes. But hopefully we'll see you again soon. Hey, tomorrow night I'm going to make a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster. And to have a video ready for Towel Day, which is the 25th of May. So I'm getting ready a long time in advance. I like being ready ahead of time rather than rushing at the last minute. I'd rather be ready a week or even two. Now, it won't be 2 weeks, but I'd rather have it edited and rendered and ready to fucking go 2 weeks, 1 week early than be rushing on the last fucking day. But so tomorrow night is Pan-Galactic. I could get really fucked up because I might also drink this one, the Shut the Fuck Up, which I haven't drunk yet. And this innocent-looking skull probably contains somewhere between 8 and 10 standard drinks. So this is not a wine for drinking. This is a wine for putting down and avoiding.
Yes.
Monty Python. Anyway, good night, fabulous people. Hope to see you again soon. But right now, it's Betty Buys. So I'm saying